In 2015, a man who had collected donations for nearly 30 years posted a video to his ministry's website asking 200,000 people to each send him $300 for a $65 million private jet. That man had never filed a public financial statement, not once, not in 30 years, and the US Senate had already tried and failed to find out where his money went. There is a figure buried in an offshore filing from 2006 that no one has explained to this day. To understand how that is possible, you have to start at the beginning. In 1986, a 25-year-old man named Creflo Augustus Dollar Jr. held his first church service in the cafeteria of Kathleen Mitchell Elementary School in College Park, Georgia. 8 people attended that first service. By 1995, the ministry had outgrown every space it had occupied, and Dollar opened the doors to the World Dome. The World Dome seats 8,500 people. It was built in College Park for an estimated $18 to $20 million, with no bank financing, according to the ministry's own statements. At its peak, World Changers Church International drew approximately 30,000 worshipers each week and broadcast Dollar's sermons to television audiences across more than 160 countries. Dollar shared stages with the most prominent figures in the Word of Faith movement, including Kenneth Copeland, his acknowledged spiritual mentor. He was not fringe. He was a pillar. By 2006, a third-party estimate citing church figures put WCCI's annual cash revenue at approximately $69 million. That figure is the last public revenue number that has ever been cited for this ministry. That same year, Dollar's ministry was growing its relationship with Evander Holyfield, the boxing champion whose divorce proceedings would produce the first serious legal challenge to Dollar's financial secrecy. But the receipts were not what the public image suggested. And to understand why, you have to understand the two interlocking systems Dollar built, one theological, one legal, that made accountability structurally impossible. The first system is a theology. It is called prosperity gospel, and its financial mechanism, known as seed faith, is the engine that powered Dollar's empire for more than 3 decades. Seed faith theology teaches that giving money to a ministry, specifically tithing at least 10% of your income, is not a voluntary act of generosity. It is a covenant obligation. Under this doctrine, the tithe is a seed planted in divine soil. The pastor's ministry is that soil, and God's financial blessing, health, prosperity, material abundance, flows back to you in proportion to what you plant. The coercive mechanism is in the inverse. If you withhold your tithe, you are withholding covenant faithfulness from God. Poverty, illness, and misfortune become spiritual consequences. Not random misfortune, but the direct result of your disobedience. Dollar preached this framework for over 30 years from the World Dome pulpit, and he applied it directly to funding his ministry's largest asks. In 2015, when he launched a campaign asking congregants to fund a $65 million private jet, the theological logic was already in place. Giving $300 was sowing a seed. Not giving was spiritual risk. But the theology only worked because of the second system, the legal architecture. And that architecture begins with 3 words on an IRS form: church status exemption. Most nonprofits in America, hospitals, universities, charities, are required to file an IRS Form 990 every year. That form discloses revenue, expenses, executive compensation, and all related entity transactions. It is public record. Churches are exempt. Legally, an organization that qualifies as a church or association of churches under the Internal Revenue Code is not required to file Form 990, ever. What that means in practice: World Changers Church International has operated since 1986 and has never once published an audited financial statement. Charity Navigator confirms it, quote, "Cannot currently be evaluated because, as a church, it is not required to file the Form 990. The structure that makes this possible is visible at a glance. Creflo Dollar holds the title of CEO at Creflo Dollar Ministries and Senior Pastor at World Changers Church International. His wife Taffy holds the CFO title at the ministry arm and serves as co-pastor at the church. Both entities operate out of the same address in College Park, Georgia. Both are under the same two people. And Ministry Watch, the nonprofit watchdog, captured the problem precisely. Their database entry reads, quote, "It is difficult to understand where one ministry begins and another ends, as well as where the for-profit ventures intersect the ministries, especially as they seem to operate out of the same address and have in common Creflo Dollar as the CEO and Taffy Dollar as the CFO. When the entity that receives the donation, the entity that spends the money, and the entity that holds the assets are all indistinguishable, and the people overseeing them are the same couple who benefit from them, there is no oversight. That is not a legal finding. It is a structural description, and it is the architecture that makes the receipts we are about to examine possible. This structure has now earned Creflo Dollar Ministries a grade of F from Ministry Watch, the lowest possible transparency rating and placement on their donor alert list. The ministry's own entry states, quote, "No response has been provided by this ministry." But the grade is just a summary. The receipts tell you why. Let's start with the one that generated the most headlines, because it is also the one that most clearly illustrates how seed faith theology and financial opacity operate as a single system. In March 2015, World Changers Church International posted a nearly 6-minute video to the Creflo Dollar Ministries website. The campaign was called Project G650. In that video, Dollar told potential donors the following, quote, "I knew it was time to begin to believe God for a new airplane." That was his justification for asking 200,000 of his global supporters to each donate a minimum of $300 toward the purchase of a Gulfstream G650. The G650 is among the most expensive private aircraft in production. At list price in 2015, it cost approximately $65 million. Dollar's ministry confirmed that figure as its fundraising target. Dollar cited a 2014 runway incident at Biggin Hill Airport in the United Kingdom, where his then current jet ran off the runway, as his justification. No serious injuries were reported. The campaign launched anyway. PolitiFact documented the campaign in detail in March 2015. Their report confirmed the goal was $65 million, the minimum individual ask was $300, and the target donor pool was 200,000 people worldwide. The public backlash was immediate and severe. The ministry pulled the campaign video within days, but the donation link, according to published reports at the time, remained live on the ministry's gift page. Dollar's public response was not an apology. Speaking to his congregation in April 2015, he said, quote, "I'm on my sabbatical and the enemy's trying to discredit me." By June 2015, the WCCI board formally announced it was prepared to, quote, "acquire a Gulfstream G650. The backlash had changed the optics. It had not changed the outcome. That is receipt 1. Receipt 2 predates the G650 by 15 years, and it is the first time a court of law tried to look inside Dollar's finances. In the year 2000, boxing champion Evander Holyfield filed for divorce. In those proceedings, his wife alleged he had donated at least $7 million to Dollar's ministry. A Fayette County judge subpoenaed Dollar to produce financial records. Dollar refused. The judge held him in contempt of court. Dollar avoided arrest only because his attorneys filed an emergency appeal. The case eventually settled out of court before Dollar was ever compelled to produce a single financial record. The pattern was already established in the year 2000. When a legal process reached for Dollar's financial records, Dollar refused, litigated, and waited for the process to collapse. The Senate would encounter the same wall 7 years later. On November 5, 2007, Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, then the ranking member of the Senate Finance Committee, announced an investigation into 6 prominent media-based ministries. Those 6 ministries were Kenneth Copeland, Creflo Dollar, Benny Hinn, Eddie Long, Joyce Meyer, and Paula White. All were prominent prosperity gospel or word of faith figures. All had refused public financial disclosure. Grassley's letter to Dollar requested audited financial statements, executive compensation data, and full disclosure of all related entities. By December 6, 2007, the deadline passed. Dollar provided nothing. In March 2008, Grassley and Finance Committee Chairman Max Baucus sent follow-up letters to Dollar, asserting the Senate's right to investigate under federal tax law. Dollar still did not comply. The investigation ran for 4 years. On January 6, 2011, Grassley released a 61-page staff review concluding the inquiry. The official Senate Finance Committee press release stated the following about Dollar, word for word. Quote, Creflo and Taffy Dollar of World Changers Church International and Creflo Dollar Ministries declined to provide any of the requested information. Any, not most, not some with exceptions, any. Religion News Service reported the Senate staff's additional finding. Dollar's ministry was formally designated, quote, the least cooperative of all 6 subjects under investigation. Least cooperative out of 6 ministries, including Kenneth Copeland, who built a private airport, including Paula White, including Eddie Long. Dollar was the most opaque of them all. Senate staff reported they were unable to determine, quote, the names of World Changers Church International's board members. After 4 years of a federal investigation, they could not even determine who was on the board. There is more. Now we reach the figure that was teased at the top of this story, the one that has never been explained: 2 offshore entities. In March 2006, Creflo Dollar formed 2 companies in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. The first was named YBC Limited. The second was named the Change Association Limited. These entities were later surfaced by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. Dollar has never offered any public explanation for why they were formed, what assets they hold, or what purpose they serve. Trinity Foundation investigator Barry Bowen, writing in the Christian Post, put the question this way. In March 2006, Dollar established YBC Limited and the Change Association Limited in the Bahamas. What is the purpose of these offshore entities? No answer has been provided. And because Dollar's entities hold church status and are therefore not required to file Form 990, no regulatory authority has compelled one. Now consider the aviation assets. Investigator Barry Bowen documented in 2022, citing Federal Aviation Administration records, that Dollar operates 2 private jets, a Gulfstream G4 and a Learjet 60. But neither jet is registered to World Changers Church International or to Creflo Dollar Ministries. Both are registered to an entity called World Air Incorporated. That is a shell company. According to Bowen's reporting for the Roy's Report, it is registered separately from both the church and the ministry. Senate staff flagged aviation assets held in subsidiary or shell entities as a red flag category for tax-exempt abuse in their 2011 review, though the report stopped short of declaring any specific arrangement unlawful. The homes complete the picture. Trinity Foundation, using Redfin property data, documented that Creflo and Taffy Dollar owned 2 adjacent homes near their College Park Church campus. Combined, according to that Redfin data, Those two properties are valued at approximately $5.7 million. The ministry that purchased them has never filed a public financial disclosure. Estimates of Dollar's personal net worth from public sources range between $27 and $30 million. But those are estimates from celebrity wealth sites, not audited figures. The reason we rely on estimates is precisely the point. Because Dollar refuses to disclose, no verified figure exists. The opacity is the answer. Those are the 7 receipts, but each of them was visible before it became a story. Each had a warning sign. Each warning sign was dismissed. The first crack appeared in the year 2000, the Holyfield contempt episode. That was not just a legal skirmish. It was a public demonstration that Dollar would refuse any external scrutiny of his finances, regardless of the legal authority demanding it. A judge found him in contempt. He appealed. The case settled before he was compelled to produce records, and the institution around him drew the lesson. Fight every process, wait for it to end. The second crack, the Senate investigation from 2007 to 2011, was not conducted in secret. It was public, covered by the national press, and Dollar's congregation knew it was happening. Senator Grassley stated publicly, on the record, quote, "The allegations involve governing boards that aren't independent and allow generous salaries and housing allowances and amenities such as private jets and Rolls-Royces." That description fit Dollar's ministry precisely. The congregation heard this. Dollar's response from the pulpit was that it was a spiritual attack. Questions became evidence of insufficient faith. That framing, accountability as spiritual warfare, is not incidental. It is the theological mechanism that closes every crack before it can widen. The third crack opened on June 8, 2012. Dollar was arrested in Fayetteville, Georgia, on charges of simple battery and cruelty to a child, after his 15-year-old daughter called 911 alleging he had choked, punched, and struck her with a shoe. Those charges were dropped in January 2013 after Dollar completed anger management classes. Dollar was not convicted of any offense, but what matters here is the institutional response. Dollar addressed the matter from the pulpit as an enemy attack. The same framing deployed against the Senate investigation, the same framing deployed against the G650 backlash. NBC News coverage of the 2012 arrest noted that the earlier Grassley investigation had specifically raised questions about, quote, the personal use of church-owned airplanes, luxury homes, and credit cards by pastors and their families, and about the lack of oversight of finances by boards, often packed with the Televangelist relatives. The press was drawing the straight line. The institution was not listening. The fourth crack, and the most revealing, came not from outside, but from Dollar himself, in June 2022. In a sermon titled "The Great Misunderstanding," Dollar addressed his congregation and said the following, quote, "I want to start off by saying to you that I'm still growing and that the teachings I've shared in times past on the subject of tithing were not correct." 1 week later, on July 3, 2022, he went further. Quote, "Tithing isn't required or even encouraged for believers in Jesus Christ." Dollar told his congregation to discard all of his prior tithing content. He offered no accounting for the funds raised under that doctrine. No restitution was proposed. No independent review was announced. The Roy's report covered Dollar's recantation extensively. Their headline captured what the admission actually raised. Quote, "Creflo Dollar renounced past teachings on tithing, but questions persist." Those questions persist because the structural architecture, the church status IRS shield, the offshore entities, the shell company jets, the husband and wife board remains entirely unchanged. Dollar's empire was not, in the end, unique. It was a specific instance of a repeatable architecture, and the repetitions are documented. Consider the ministry of Kenneth Copeland, Dollar's own acknowledged spiritual mentor, based in Newark, Texas, outside Fort Worth. Kenneth Copeland Ministries operates a private airport on its ministry campus. It holds multiple FAA-registered aircraft. It files no Form 990, shielded by the same church status IRS exemption Dollar uses. Ministry Watch rates Kenneth Copeland Ministries with a donor confidence score of 10 out of 100 and assigns it the same F transparency grade it gave to Dollar. An Associated Press investigation published in July 2008 found that Kenneth Copeland Ministries had, quote, too many relatives and too much money sloshing around in its network of related entities. Ministry Watch estimates Kenneth Copeland Ministries took in approximately $135 million in revenue in 2021. Every dollar of that passed behind the same church status shield. Copeland, like Dollar, was among the Grassley Six. And like Dollar, he was the most vocal in organizing resistance to the Senate inquiry. His First Amendment defense became a template others followed. The second parallel case is closer to home, geographically and structurally. Bishop Eddie Long led New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Lithonia, Georgia, fewer than 15 miles from Dollar's World Dome. Long was also a member of the Grassley Six. Senate staff placed him alongside Dollar at the bottom of the cooperation spectrum, refusing to disclose his compensation and leaving the majority of information requests unanswered. The Grassley report noted Long's non-compliance in parallel with Dollar's, both refusing salary disclosure, both leaving information requests blank, both invoking religious freedom against a federal inquiry. What connects these three cases, Dollar, Copeland, Long, is not coincidence. It is a shared enabling architecture that operates identically regardless of which individual runs the institution. Prosperity gospel theology frames giving as spiritual obligation, a covenant that cannot be refused without supernatural consequence. Church status IRS classification blocks Form 990 disclosure. Boards are populated with family members or loyalists, and aviation assets, the most visible symbols of wealth extraction, are routed through subsidiary or shell entities to obscure personal use from charitable purpose. CNN opinion contributor Sarah Posner wrote in March 2015, after the G650 campaign, quote, 4 years after the abandonment of the Senate Finance Committee's Televangelist investigation, it looks like the absence of government oversight has only emboldened Creflo Dollar. The Senate's choice to call for self-reform rather than enforcement in 2011 was not a conclusion. It was a signal. And the G650 campaign 4 years later was the response to that signal. This is not a story about one bad actor. It is a story about a system that protects bad actors, and that system is still operating. So what happened? What is the state of Dollar's ministry today, and what did any of this produce? Creflo Dollar is still the senior pastor of World Changers Church International. He still holds the CEO title at Creflo Dollar Ministries. His wife Taffy is still CFO. The Gulfstream G650, the jet the ministry publicly sought $65 million to acquire, was confirmed for purchase by the WCCI board in June 2015. The public backlash did not stop the acquisition. The Gulfstream G4 and Learjet 60, documented by Trinity Foundation's Barry Bowen, remain registered to World Air Incorporated per FAA records. The shell company structure has not changed. YBC Limited and the Change Association Limited, the two Bahamas offshore entities formed in March 2006, have still not been explained. No statement, no disclosure, no response. Ministry Watch's database entry for Creflo Dollar Ministries carries the following notation as of February 9, 2026, quote, CDM has chosen not to be open and transparent with MinistryWatch.com. Chosen, not legally prevented. Chosen. The Senate Finance Committee issued no penalties against Dollar. It issued no penalties against any of the Grassley Six. It called for self-reform and then moved on. No legislation was passed to close the church status 990 exemption. No new IRS enforcement authority over religious organizations was established. The legal architecture that made Dollar's opacity possible is precisely as intact today as it was in 1986. Dollar's 2022 admission that his tithing doctrine was, quote, not correct, raised a question no institution has yet compelled him to answer. What about the 3 decades of donations made under that doctrine? Where did that money go? He has urged congregants to throw away his old tithing teachings. He has not urged them to ask for an audit. The recantation and the opacity exist simultaneously, with no apparent contradiction from within the institution. World Changers Church International has not undergone an independent audit, publicly confirmed or published, at any point in its 38-year history. Charity Navigator still cannot evaluate it. Ministry Watch's F still stands. This is what the reckoning looks like when enforcement doesn't follow. The ministry continues. The jets continue. The offshore entities continue. And the congregation is still told, by the same man who admitted his core doctrine was wrong, where to send their money. So what do you do with this? This is not just Creflo Dollar's story. The architecture Dollar used is in active use right now by dozens of institutions in cities and towns across the country. Here is what it looks like from the outside. Watch for number 1, the church status shield. When a ministry declines to file Form 990 and offers, "We are a church," as its explanation, that is a structural choice, not a legal necessity for most organizations. A ministry that cannot tell you what it earns, what it pays its leaders, or what related entities it operates, has made that opacity a deliberate design decision. Ask why. Watch for number 2, the husband and wife CEO and CFO arrangement with no independent board. When the same 2 individuals who receive compensation also control the board that sets that compensation, there is no arm's length oversight. Watch for number 3, aviation and real estate assets held in separately named shell entities. Dollar's jets are registered to World Air Incorporated, not to his church or his ministry. If ministry assets appear under third-party entity names in FAA or property records, donors cannot know whether those assets serve charitable or personal purposes. Watch for number 4, offshore entities with no disclosed purpose. Dollar formed 2 Bahamas companies in 2006. No explanation has ever been offered. Any ministry with offshore entities and no public explanation warrants serious scrutiny. And watch for number 5, the most insidious of all. Doctrine that punishes financial questions. When a ministry teaches that withholding tithes invites divine punishment, or that criticism of the pastor is the enemy trying to discredit him, it is using theology to silence the accountability questions every donor has a right to ask. Creflo Dollar told his congregation in 2022 that 30 years of his tithing doctrine was, quote, not correct. He offered no accounting of what was raised under it. He proposed no independent review. He asked for continued trust from the same pulpit. The documents are public. The Senate report is public. The FAA records are public. The offshore entity filings are public. What has never been made public by Creflo Dollar's own deliberate choice is the one thing donors have a right to see: the money.